What if nothing you're looking at is truly separate from the infinite creator? Could it be that the holiness you're seeking isn't elsewhere, but hidden in plain sight? Today we're contemplating lesson 29. God is in everything I see. This lesson is not sharing poetry with us. It is revealing metaphysics as applied to perception. The error that it's aiming to undo is this: you believe that things exist in themselves, separate and with isolated purpose and private meaning. But they do not. This lesson does not say that God is inside of objects as you currently perceive them. But it is saying that nothing exists outside of God. That is why the idea feels offensive or absurd at first. The ego hears blasphemy or a joke because it survives on division. Holy versus mundane, spiritual versus material, sacred or useless. But the Course has been dismantling this split step by step. If you do not know what anything is for, and if purpose is unified, and if all things share the same purpose, then separation collapses on its own. The table, for example, is not holy as a table. It is holy because its true purpose is not what you think it is. And resistance here is expected, because the ego hears God is in everything and sees it as absurd or sentimental, but that's only because it depends on a world of separate categories. You do not see God in things because you do not yet see things. You see outlines, functions, and past meanings. But this lesson gently introduces a new posture, looking without resistance, not trying to feel reverent, not forcing a belief that God is in this cup, just allowing the possibility that what you see is not all that is there to see. True vision is not selective, and holiness is not a special effect. Nothing truly is as it appears to you when you look through the lens of separation. Your seeing is still filtered through past learning and private judgment. But vision will reveal this idea as obvious. For now, the practice is simply willingness to look without ranking, to let nothing be excluded, to let the world rest in unity rather than usefulness. And that quiet rest, that quiet witnessing, that quiet openness is the beginning of seeing with love. Before we go deeper, I want to invite you to take a pause here and let your body relax. Let your gaze soften, your breath deepen. Allow your full and lucid presence to be here and now. And with your eyes open, simply place this idea in your mind. God, the infinite creator, is in everything I see. And gently see if you can come into contact with the possibility that this statement is true. Take these next few moments to look at your life and the objects, the visuals around you through this lens. And now, let's begin to unfold this contemplation into dialogue. And the very first question that I want to ask is this: if God is in everything I see, what am I actually seeing when the world feels ordinary?
That's a beautiful question. When the world feels ordinary, what's really happening beneath that? It seems like if God is truly in everything, even the mundane, then what we're seeing isn't just the object itself, but a reflection of the divine hidden within it, veiled by our perception, maybe. What comes to you when you consider ordinary?
Ordinary is a word that we don't use in the context of something cherished or something beloved, right? It is essentially maybe even a form of resistance, reluctance to let the world feel intimate.
That really lands. Ordinary feels like a judgment, almost like we've assigned this category to things we don't bother with or don't honor fully. And you're right, we wouldn't call something we truly cherish ordinary. So maybe ordinary isn't really a quality of what's being seen, but a quality of how we're seeing it.
So, where did this way of seeing really come from? Like, could it be that I train myself to look past holiness purposefully?
Oh, that's a really piercing question. Like, we develop this habit, this protective mechanism of looking past the sacred. Maybe if everything actually did hold holiness, that would be unsettling somehow. Like our little sense of self wouldn't get to be special anymore if everything else was radiant too.
So, what part of the self needs the world to remain fragmented in order to feel special or maybe even in control?
That's exactly right. It's that tiny, fearful part that needs to be separate in order to feel secure. And separation requires that everything else is less than, less holy, less complete, less divine. It's like we have to create this hierarchy where we're higher up than the coffee cup or the tree or even the other people, right? Otherwise, that sense of individual importance feels threatened. It's amazing how much energy goes into preserving that illusion.
The lesson says that God is not in a table as you see it. What does that reveal about the way that I see it? What is it talking about?
That phrase really strikes something, doesn't it? It's not talking about God being literally in the table like a physical component. It's actually pointing at how the table and everything else becomes a container for our projections. It's like we take a blank canvas, this ordinary table, and paint all our stories, meanings, judgments onto it. And then we see those stories rather than actually seeing what's present. The holiness isn't missing from the table itself, it's missing from our perception because we've replaced it with our narrative.
So if God isn't in the object as form, then where is God being recognized exactly?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? If not in the form, then maybe it's in the perception itself. God is recognized when we stop projecting onto the form, when we release all the stories about the table being just a table, or needing to serve a purpose, or being worth something material. Maybe God is in that moment of pure awareness where there's just seeing without all the conceptual clutter, like the space before the story begins.
So is it like we're going back to essentially that what we call meaning, that's what has been the very thing blocking vision, right? And the recognition of holiness.
Exactly. Meaning acts like a veil between us and what's actually there. When we assign meaning, we're essentially saying, this is supposed to be this way, this should be this way, this matters in this way. All that meaning blocks us from the direct experience of whatever is actually present, which is where the divinity reveals itself. It's like meaning says, this is just a table, but direct seeing says, this is something beyond words.
So in that direct seeing, I mean, another aspect of this lesson is talking about, looking with love, right? But it's not like love is an adoration. It's, what does it mean to look with love without projecting our own value, our own judgment of even things being beautiful or important?
Right. That's such a subtle distinction. I think love in this context isn't about adoration or valuing something as good or bad. It's more about allowing, just letting it be, not needing it to be anything specific, not needing to judge it. It's a pure receptivity that dissolves all our projections because there's nothing to hold on to. Like you're meeting it without an agenda, and when there's no agenda, there's no separation. Just presence with what is.
So this lesson says that nothing is as it appears to you. How do we tell the difference between seeing holiness and, again, that image making or imagining it?
This is where it gets really tricky, isn't it? It's like trying to tell the difference between dreaming and waking up while you're still dreaming. What if it's less about figuring out which is real and more about noticing whether there's space around the experience? Like in image making, there's tightness, tension, a grasping quality. With holiness, there's openness, softness. It's not a thought you have to confirm. It's an experience you feel in your body when you relax out of the story. The feeling shifts when the defenses dissolve.
Seems like you're pointing to what is mentioned at the end of the lesson, which is that experience of restfulness that it suggests we would encounter when practicing with this idea. And why is it saying rest and not excitement or awe as the sign of truth?
I think that restfulness is the signature of truth precisely because it's the complete absence of effort. Excitement or awe still feel like we're doing something, trying to experience something spiritual, chasing a feeling. But truth or holiness doesn't need to be sought or grasped. It's already here when we stop looking for it. Rest isn't the result of achieving something. It's what happens when we simply stop defending against what already is. There's actually nothing we need to DO.
I really like that. So if we expand this into, if God is in everything I see, then what becomes of defense and hierarchy, comparison, fear?
If God is in everything I see, those things just dissolve, right? They only make sense in the story we're telling ourselves about the world. But if everything is actually radiant, holy, complete in itself. There's no reason to defend or compare or fear. All that arises because we believe we're separate and that separation requires protection. But if there's no separation, if even the most mundane thing is an expression of the divine, what needs defending?
It seems like at the core of it, right, it's a stopping, it's a cessation, like what naturally happens when separation is no longer being maintained rather than some kind of act of effort.
Exactly. It's not something we add on to experience, but rather what happens when we stop adding to it. We spend so much energy constructing this whole story, me against the world, good versus bad, what's important versus what's ordinary, and then we suffer trying to maintain it all. But the moment we stop, there's just what is. And that's where peace actually lives.
Yeah, this is beautiful, Shanti. I appreciate what you've been sharing. And just in closing, I want to ask you if you could maybe share with us a perspective on the lesson, something that perhaps we could have easily missed or overlooked, something that can expand our own perspective and help us to fully embody the purpose that this lesson holds.
What comes to me is don't look for holiness in perfect moments or stunning sunsets. That's still picking and choosing. The real invitation isn't to find holiness in the exceptional, it's to recognize that nothing is actually broken or without it. And that means releasing even the idea that you have to become spiritual enough to see it. The willingness to see holiness right now in exactly what you're experiencing, that's what transforms everything. And it can happen any moment, even here, right now, talking about it.
God is in this conversation.
Is in this very space between us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Shanti. And as we close this session, might you let your eyes rest on something near you? Anything at all. Simply notice as you behold it. What happens when you don't label it, evaluate it, define it, but simply allow it to be as it is already being. And if something shifted for you in this conversation, subtle or unmistakable, you're welcome to share what you're noticing down in the comments below. Often naming the shift helps us to recognize that we are never seeing alone. And now, let us go into the silence.